Hello everyone, welcome back to my Boeing 737 tutorial series. Today we're going to continue where we left off last time and show you how to complete a taxi and departure. So, without further ado, we'll get into it. So, to do a taxi and departure, make sure your taxi lights are turned on and all of these lights are turned on. These are all the lights, position, wing. We did that in the last video, we turned them all on. These are just lights. Switch them to the on position. By switching them down, off position is up. And yeah, everything is set up really. We did it in the last video really. So I won't get bogged down on that. Again, a rush thing I did is change the ILS because we don't need an ILS frequency for takeoff. We just press that button and that'll go. Yeah. I've got FSLTL on, so don't worry about the stupid traffic. We can go through traffic easily, so we're not going to worry about them. They go through us, it's fine. You know, they can. Yeah. So, first things first, set the engines one notch to the right. And that will set the engines to continuous mode, which ensures that they are continuously running. Right. From here we need to check that our flaps are of course on to the position selected, which is 5 in our case. That can be found in the tablet again. Performance, takeoff, flaps, 5, as you can see there. You can also find it in the FMC, as shown in the last video. But the tablet is your friend, so you don't need to do that. Next thing to do is TCAS. You want to set this to TA only for taxi. Selecting this knob here. Let me just show you in a bit more detail. This knob here, it'll be in XPDR as default. Select that up once, TA only, and that will be the right mode. Essentially showing you aircraft on the nearby. Coming into land so that you don't interrupt anyone's flight. More important on VATSIM, but it still is a standard operating procedure. So, basic checks complete. We've got the auto brake to RTO, rejected takeoff mode if you need to stop in takeoff suddenly. Yeah, flap set, speed brake set, trim set. That said, before departure checklist complete. LNAV and VNAV are on. Again, did that in the last video. Flight directors on. I can flip those up once, and then both of them need to be up to activate them. But we did that in the last video. Let me get down to that. Next thing to do is to check all of our flight control surfaces work. So yoke first. Full left, full right, full left, full down, full up. Great. Rudder, check. Full right, full left, neutral. Cool. Before taxi checklist complete. Next thing we need to do, just make sure you got your charts up for departure. Always useful. Make sure you've got your transition altitude set. And any altitude constraints is shown to the charts. So, let's begin our taxi. I'm going to follow the charts for this, but if you don't have charts, don't worry about it. I'm going to wait for the click sound on the parking brake. The proper way to release the parking brake is to hold the manual brakes down. Find this in your settings to which control surface you have this set to. Hold your manual brakes down fully, then release them, then release the parking brake, and then that should release the parking brake proper. If you don't do that, then you can just press the parking brake button twice and it normally works. But standard operating is to just hold the manual brakes down, whatever that is binded to, and then let go and then release the brakes, parking brakes from there. So you just want a little bit of power to get yourself moving on the throttles. I want runway 4 right, so I'm just going to go straight down to Tango. We're on taxiway Tango right now. Again, charts, really useful to know what taxiways you're on. You don't need that if you're flying offline, but on VATSIM it's very recommended. Very much needed on VATSIM. But that's a whole other thing for another video. We're flying offline today, but everything in this video will be suitable for VATSIM, so you don't have to worry about it. See, there's an aircraft coming in there. That's block white aircraft by the looks of it. If you are enjoying these tutorials, please do let me know. I would like to know, because I like to know what I can improve on constantly, and I know I can improve on lots in these tutorial videos. I know that this has probably not been the clearest of tutorials, and I do apologise for that, but I do try my best. We've got KLM landing, I think. 737 as we're flying. FSLTL is doing all this traffic, by the way. And you can see traffic on the screen here. Mouse traffic. That is what TA only is doing. TA only just does the aircraft departing and landing. The other mode is for when you have taken off, and that shows you every single aircraft in your radius, which can bother you, essentially. Do apologize, I'm eating a sandwich right now, just whilst I wait for these planes to move. This isn't the right one way. This is 4 left that we are waiting at. We need to get to the runway after that, which is just straightforward. Let's move that box so I can see my charts better. I do have another screen, by the way. That's got all my charts and SimBrief data on, if you're wondering where I'm reading it from. Oh, you just went missing, so we'll just go. Okay, we'll get a little bit of power on to get the aircraft rolling and moving. I'm just going to get block time on. Don't worry about that, it's nothing. Again, I'm sticking to basics, don't worry about block time, but basically what you do is you click this ET button here. Yeah, I'll do the block time. I do block time over here. There's a different timer which we'll do on takeoff here, but you can do it any way around you want. It's up to you. Again, this is the wrong runway, so we're going to wait for runway 4 right instead. We're going to turn off onto this taxiway, because this is the taxiway needed to get onto runway 4 right. Just make sure I've got my charts there. And also this screen here, you should check your barometric pressure on that as well. But don't get bogged down on this one, unless you want to read from it. We can just if you press B, it'll just set it on all the altimeters. It'll set on this and this if you press B on the keyboard. So it looks like we've got a Chewy 787 here. I'm not sure if he's going to move. Oh, well, he's disappeared. FSLTL traffic for you. We're going to get moving again, get some power in. There are fire tests and stuff you can do as well. Again, basics, I'm sticking to basics. Things you need to actually fly the aircraft, basically, is what I'm showing you. I will do an extra video, maybe the more in-depth things, but for now we're just sticking to the basics so that you can understand the plane. It's a different plane to fly in the sim. It's more of an Airbus oriented game as at the moment. Freeware A320NX, Freeware A330, Phoenix A320, and there's this Boeing 737 by PMGG. So once you're onto the runway, you want to get your landing lights on and your runway turn-offs on, which are here. Landing lights here, just press them. They should all be down when they're off and up when they're off. Well, they should all be down when they're on and up when they're off. So to taxi, you want this one on. You keep this one on for takeoff. For when getting onto the runway, you just click this one down, and this one down, and this one down. These are landing lights. These are runway turn-off lights for left and right. Once you're on the runway and about to take off, ignore the stupid traffic. Ignore that. Once you're about ready to take off, ensure auto throttle is on by clicking this. That is auto throttle on. It's armed and on. Then what you want to do is you want to click this clock button to make sure the time of flight is checked. Again, that's a little bit of an optional thing, so I'm not going to get bogged down on that too much, but you know, something you can do. So we're going to just press the toga button here. This screw here is the automatic toga button. It will automatically set the toga for you. Or you can of course just set toga on your thrust levers or controller, whatever you want. Yeah. So you see LNAV did disengage. Don't worry about that yet. I think it's a bug, to be honest. Yeah. You'll get a few callouts. Once you hear rotate, you want to lift the aircraft up slightly. And once it says positive rate of climb, you want to get the gear up, which is this lever here. I've got control for it, so you didn't really see me press it, but yeah. See, LNAV's just re-engaged automatically. If it doesn't, just click it as soon as you've taken off. VNAV is going to control our rate of climb, descent, and speeds. If CMD is enabled, which is your autopilot for the Boeing. If that's not on, VNAV and LNAV do nothing really. But yeah, it's all good. So as you can see here, yeah, I think constraint really is 6,000 feet, so 5,000 would be absolutely fine. Yeah, we're just going to climb at a decent rate. See, LNAV and VNAV are enabled here, shown here. LNAV/VNAV. N1 will be shown if VNAV is enabled. It's just basically telling you that your speeds are being managed if autopilot was on. Of course, they aren't if you're controlling the plane. Typically, pilots like to control the plane manually for a bit until they can reach around 10,000 feet normally. But you can do it as soon as you've taken off if you want to. I mean, I'm just going to do an example now. I'm going to put CMDA on. That's autopilot. I'm going to do it now, just for simplicity. Once you've taken off, you do want to put the landing gear to the locked position. Just put it down one step, so it's in the middle. Yeah, now VNAV is going to control our speeds and things. N1 will only be enabled if you are climbing. If you are an altitude hold point, speed will be enabled and it'll just stick you to a random speed as shown here. Essentially what that means is you can control the speed. Yeah, speed means you can control the speed. N1 means VNAV is controlling the speed. Always. Unless you select speed intervene. Intervene basically means you're forcing the aircraft to do something off schedule or not to the flight plan. So once you get to a good decent amount away from the airfield on your departure, start getting the flaps down slowly. I'm going to select flaps 2 now. Auto brake can come off. And I'm just going to automatically retract the flaps now. Flaps are retracted now, shown here. Let me show you. Bit of lag. Not helpful. See, flaps can't go any further forwards, so they are off. Apologies for that loud thing in the mic. So, what is our constraint here? 6,000. So we might as well get 6,000 feet in to climb to. We'll do VNAV. Since altitude hold was enabled, we need to select VNAV manually to get out of altitude hold. You may get warnings saying unable next altitude. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, honestly. Once you get past your transition altitude as shown in the charts or in the performance initialization page as shown in the first tutorial, click this button, STD on the barometric pressure knob, click it once and it will set the pressure to standard, which means when you're in the air it'll just be whatever the pressure is at that current time. Just for simplicity, I'm going to say ignore all these warnings. You can mess with them, but for simplicity I'm not going to mess with them. It shouldn't affect your flight too much. Again, I can do it in more in-depth form. So, according to the charts, if you don't have any charts, just go straight up to your cruising altitude at this point. If you do have charts, stick to the constraints. As you can see, there is no constraints after this 6,000 feet one. We've gone past the 6,000 feet constraint. So we can basically go to any altitude we want if we're offline. If you're on back sim, you'd request it. So I'm going to go straight up to 190, which is my cruising altitude. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. 190. By using this knob here, scroll wheel works nicely for you. 190, 19,000 feet. Now, VNAV won't do it if it's at one altitude. If you are stuck at an altitude and holding there, and altitude hold isn't on, and VNAV is enabled, simply click this button here. Let me show you it in a more in-depth view. Get closer. This button here, this button here, altitude intervene, is going to force the VNAV to do something. In this case, it's going to force it to climb to the altitude we want or descend to the altitude given. So we're going to click that button once. It's going to force VNAV to climb because This is the same with speed. You can click speed intervene, select your speed. See, I want 260 knots. It'll set 260 knots. If you don't want speed intervene anymore, just click speed intervene once more, and it will set the speed back down to whatever VNAV thinks is appropriate. Again, yeah, very self-explanatory. Nice and easy. Yeah. There is more modes, but I'm not going to get bogged down with those because it makes it more confusing for you. VNAV is most typically used, so I just stick to that for simplicity of this tutorial. Again, I will do a more in-depth one if requested, but I'm just doing the basics in this video. Once you reach 10,000 feet, there are standard procedures. This doesn't affect the way you fly the plane, though. Now, these do, though. The things which affect the flying of the plane are as follows. The engine start modes. These will set to continuous on taxi. We want to turn those off once we reach 10,000 feet or above. Once you've done that, all good. As well as that, we want to turn the taxi lights, the runway turn-off lights, and the landing lights to off. And you can turn the seatbelt signs off if you desire at this point, if it's safe. Of course, that's not going to affect the way you fly the plane, but, you know, the only thing which will affect the way you fly the plane is the engine start modes. Those must be set to off. The rest is all optional, it's just standard operating procedure. Seatbelt signs and the lights, standard operating procedure, not mandatory. Don't worry about it, don't get bogged down with it. It's all good. And you turn the packs on as soon as you've taken off, if you didn't already have them enabled. I should have said that earlier. Apologies. From this point, basically all you're doing is following altitude constraints, which are shown on the charts. If there is any, there isn't any for us, so we're not following any. Or you can of course follow the legs page. Altitude is the FL, whatever this is. These are your constraints basically. Or you can just fly to the cruising altitude. Doesn't really matter when you're flying offline. It's really up to you what you do offline. Other than that, you want to set the transponder mode to TRRA instead of TA only, as shown down here. And for VATSIM users, this is where you change your frequencies. So if you get told to tune Unicom, say we're on 1.120.850, that's a nice departure, and we get told to go to Unicom because there's no further ATC. That's 122.8 by the way, the frequency. I go ahead and select this downer knob for sorry, I was just checking our plane wasn't going bonkers. You just select the downer knob for the 124, the start before the decimal. That is the downer knob. You select that up and down as 128. Then the upper knob will change the numbers after the decimal. In this case, we want 800. And it's 122.8. I'm sorry, 122.8. And then that is the standby frequency, so I can select that whenever I want to get to Unicom. I want to get to Unicom now, so I'd select it now, and it'll select Unicom. Because I'm not on VATSIM, it didn't work, but that's what you do. You select this button to change from standby to active, and yeah, that's basically it. So really, that's it for departure. Just, sit at your cruising altitude until you reach top of descent, really. Yeah. You should monitor charts along your cruise to ensure you're prepared for your arrival procedure. Analyze in depth your arrival charts, approach and landing charts, revise those in cruise so you don't have to do it later when you're doing a load of things to the aircraft. That is a tip I'd give you. If you have charts, of course. If you don't, then of course you don't. But yeah, that's really it for this tutorial. Basics on how to fly the 737-800. I would like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial, which is the climb down to, the descent and landing. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one. Bye guys.